You're listening to the new WCEG network on WCEGTV.com. Click your live stream tab, watch us live on your television, YouTube. I am Damita Chatman, your host for the next hour, where we speak life into the community. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at WCEG_talk_radio at WCEG network. Last but least, this is the disclaimers. Everything that I say is my say, Cullen say, and not the producer. Thank you, Cullen Chambers, for coming in today. We got a little sidetracked because he on California time, and so, but that's all right. That's what being from Ohio. Cullen Chambers is from my hometown. He's a great movie star. Grew up there in Lima, Ohio. Went to the same Baptist church, 8th Street under Pastor Latson. And his father, we call Mr. Chambers, Papa Chambers.
Yep, Papa Brown.
Papa Brown Chambers. And if you knew his mother was an outstanding woman. Thank you for coming, Cullen. You can give us a little of your background, and then we're going to go on in and talk about what we talk about. It's going to be friendly. Give us
okay, good. I just, first of all, I want to thank you for having me. You got one coming when I see you. No, it's really a pleasure. And you kind of, I gotta thank you for actually doing the show. And then the fact that you profile so many of us, it's just really, it's kind of emotional for me because I'm just Cullen from Lima, Ohio. Life in Middle America, that's me.
Yeah, thank you. But I often, you have to give people their flowers, Cullen. And sometimes, Lima get the negative, and it's some good folks that come out of.
Oh, it's some great folks that come out of Lima. Yeah.
So, I want to start talking about, how did you get into show business? Did you ever dream or thought you would be there in Beverly Hills?
Well, actually, I'm not in Beverly Hills. I'm in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. I lived out there 30-some years. It's just a few minutes away.
Yeah, well, it's just about 5 minutes away from here. I started back at Philippian, or if not more so, in our home, because there was a lot of us. So we would always put on our little talent shows, and when anybody came to visit, of course, our parents would trot us out. We'd have to sing, do some readings, and do some kind of activity to try to entertain the adults that came to visit. And if the children came, I had my sister Mary was always writing something and producing something, and we would always act in that. So that was kind of, and of course, my mother, she was in charge of the youth department at the time. So we were always volunteered. The sign is, we were always volunteer, but I didn't think of it as a chore. I thought it was always fun, just to be just doing what we always did around the house anyway. And then for other people to see it was kind of great. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. You brought up something about your sister Mary, and I remember your plays as a little girl when y'all used to go down to the Mishpaw.
That's right.
And your sister, late Cheryl Allen, they were just great doing what they do. I mean, they can put on some plays, and now I think it has went down to some of the kids. But
yes,
you guys
Angela and Riley, my great, yeah.
So to tell us a little about some of your upbringing. It was a big family of you. I think it was 11 children.
It was 11 of us. Well, there was 12 of us all together, but 11 of us is that live. And I have my sister Emma, my brother Arthur. My brother Arthur is actually more responsible than anyone for me actually getting into film, because he had actually bought a Kodak camera, and he had coming back from the war, and he had that for a while. And so he would let me borrow it. And so the first 2 movies that I ever did, I shot him with the camera that he had bought and let me use. And then I would go up to I want to say it's Hart's Jewelry Store, across the street from Hart's Jewelry Store right there in Lima. And I would buy my film. And that's where
was it Don's? I know exactly what you're talking about.
I can't think of the name of it right now. And I was
Kresge's, and then it was Hart's, and it was right across the street.
It was right up the block, across the street. I just went by there when I was home. I was just home. I came there for my sister Jamesy's oldest son's wedding. I was only supposed to be there 4 days, ended up spending 30 days. Actually, 35 days altogether. I just was having such a good time. I didn't even feel like leaving. I just told everybody I'd be back. And so I didn't decide to actually start back work until the October the 1st. I was going to take off the whole summer and just do some writing and putting some other stuff together, because I'm now at this place where I'm trying to create more content, because it's important. And I figured if I don't start doing it more now, when will I do it? There's never a perfect time. Like we were saying, you just jump in there and do it and go with what you got right now. So that was being back there was very important to me. And then there's my brother Norman. My sister Cheryl, which of course everybody pretty much remembers her from the Cheryl Allen Center. And boy, she used to get us out there, man. She used to get us out there doing all kind of stuff. Back in the day where dashikis, she had an assembly line, we'd be there stitching or folding or ironing and selling dashikis. Like, man, that was one of the first things that I remember most about her. I remember a lot of things, but that's one of the things that sticks in my brain about the entrepreneurship of where like we all kind of doing our own thing. So, and then of course, most of the people know Norman Chambers, which was like Coach Chambers. He coached football, baseball, basketball from like everybody who's he coached for over 47 years. So that was great. Yeah, the Sharks. Bull. That was one of the memories, because I'm kind of writing my memoirs now, and one of the things that I do remember is always being able to get out of church to go watch my brother play midget football for Ray Chris and the Bulldogs. Don't tell nobody, but that was one of my favorite moments as well. And then, of course, Carol, who was a cheerleader and just a mother, and she done a lot of things around in the community as well. And then, of course, me, and then my sister Jamesy, who now lives in Florida. She has her own businesses down there. And then my brother David, of course, he was a local athlete, and then he went on to just become just phenomenal and training people around the world as far as in healthcare practices. And then Jalan, who also she just finished her master's a few years ago, and she's in business. So there's times where I pick on her to give me some tips and stuff about our businesses. And she also runs her own. And then Greg, of course, Gregory, he was also a local athlete, and now he's an Emmy-winning film editor for at Paramount for many, many years. So everything is going good. So for me, I'm the least.
Well, I know that I can say that Papa Chambers would be was happy, because he got to see a little bit of it, but Mama Chambers just looking down and she's just smiling.
I think about that. Yeah, my father, Papa Brown, he got to see a lot of things, but even then, the best parts that have happened, even now, it's been in the last, since he's been gone. But like you said, I always picture it as though I'm like in a bowling alley and I've got a bowling ball, and I'm about to throw the ball down the alley. And just because they didn't see it hit the pins, they knew by the release of the ball that it was going to be okay. And that was the only thing that's the one thing that comforts me, and knowing that I hope he gets to see the things that I wanted to do that fulfilled them. Because for me, it was all about people remembering them, because they came up such during the time, it was, you had to stick together. And so that was one of the things that I'm hopefully continuously trying to live up to his expectations. But like knowing him, anything that you do was good enough. And that's why for me, it's always a blessing.
Absolutely.
Thank you for asking about that.
That was one of the greatest old deacons under that regime. One of the greatest. Let me ask you a question. How is it working with some of the movie stars like the Samuel L. Jackson and rest of those? How is it working with those guys?
Well, I'll say like this. I'm from Lima. So for me, after watching like Sidney Poitier just recently passed, which is the reason why I bring him up, is that, and I remember the first movies that I did with him, and I remember watching, Lilies of the Field, Raisin in the Sun. And I remember, being there with him on set, and we'd be sitting around because a lot of time in between setups. And so, you get to having the conversations, and, they really, for him to ask about me and my family was kind of like, wow, it's like, but you're Sidney Poitier, right? But to me, I was still just jumping up inside as a little kid because, this was probably not probably, the person that I remember going to see we went to go see at the Sigma Theater in Lima, Ohio. There was a Sigma Theater was on Market Street, and we went to go see Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? Our whole family. Now, for us to all go out to dinner, to go out to a movie was a big thing. I think the movie that we saw before that was The 10th Commandment. So for us to go out to a movie all together was the Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. I remember just watching him up on the screen because it was in color, because the other one was in black and white. This was in color. And I was just blown away. And so to be able to meet with him, he played a lot of tennis. And in LA, there's West Hollywood, there's a park called the Poinsettia Park. And at that time, any major Black actor was there. I'm talking about from Fred Williamson to Dorville Martin, I said Fred Williamson, Hank Ross, Shabar Ross. Roger Mosley. That's where, there was anybody who was everybody would always hang out there, had basketball courts, but it was a lot of tennis. That was the one place that you could always roll up into. People would be playing chess and bid whist and checkers and all of that. But that was the one thing that you roll up on. And as far as me having, being around those persons and having them accept me as an equal in my role as an actor was just, a lot of times, come on, I'm pinching myself. I'm from Lima, Ohio, right?
Yes.
No one expected.
Favor ain't fair.
Yeah.
Favor ain't fair. And let me say this, sometimes we have this image of the movie stars, how they, they act, but I had an opportunity to sit down with Sam Jackson.
Yeah.
I have a close friend that that she's dear to us, and Sam is her sister-in-law, and they come to her house, and he's just down to earth. Him and his wife.
Sam is just so down to earth. I go back. I've worked on a few movies with Sam, and I've stood in for him as well. I did Pulp Fiction with him. I stood in for Samuel on Pulp Fiction. I have a small part in it, but that was when we were shooting that movie. We knew that was something special. There's a scene where they're out in the backyard being hosed down because of I forget why they're being hosed down, but they're being hosed down. Him and John Travolta just in their birthday suits. And that was one of the things, like, how many people get to sit here and watch two of the major stars at that time? Samuel was on his big rise because Pulp Fiction was one of the things that put him on the map, as well as John Travolta. So when I worked with Samuel, he would just always be real. I was always trying to get him in a project, right? Man, my schedule. But he always was kind enough to share different, little witticisms and tidbits that, and he would allow me to watch him intensively. And there's times when you are on set and people are watching you when you're on camera, but then there's people who really be watching, and he would give me a little wink when the scene would be over to let me know that, I felt you, bro. I felt you. So it was very wonderful. Yeah.
Right. Now you just starred in the last Blackish. Was that Blackish?
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
There you go. I'm sorry.
I co-starred in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That was quite. That was a great experience. I didn't realize that so many people watched that show, and after that show aired, because I was actually, I'll tell you, it was a good performance, but it was not one of my better ones. And there's a story that goes with that show, because I was away from the set working on another commercial, and I had to be called back right away. Well, actually, it was a commercial callback. And so when I disappeared for a while, they couldn't find me. So when I rushed back to set, we got back to doing that, and they set me up when you did our close-up, and I was like, because I just knew I had blew it. But when I looked at the show, I was crossing my fingers the whole time before it came out. And when it came out, I really sent the director a letter thanking him because he really made me look good in that. So I'm very proud of that.
Okay. So let me ask you, what can we do? We have some talented young men, and I'm just going to say from Lima because you're from Lima. What can we do to kind of get those young kids, some of them on the straight path? Because when we came up, we had a village. We had old school. If I'm just going to say, if Mama Chambers saw us doing something, she got on us. And let me tell you, we used to go every Sunday, but mostly every Saturday. We would go down to your aunt's house on 8th Street. And you know what we went to go get?
Yes,
some
ice cream. Yeah, ice cream.
And she what they say, she made the best ice cream. Let me tell you this. They say it was the best, but you know what? I never liked homemade ice cream. I would go down and get it from my mom and my grandmother. I never liked homemade ice cream. You know what kind of ice cream I used to like? I used to like Clyde Evans out the box.
Whoa, just the ice cream or the ice milk now?
The ice cream out the box.
That big old gallon. See, we always got the big old gallon container brick, as we call it. Yeah. I tried to get her recipe from her for many.
Did she give it to you?
She would never get it to me. So after she passed, I tried to find out who got her ice cream maker because I figured I was going to get some forensic, somebody to break down that formula and get it to me. So I should say it passed on with her. So this memory of you sharing it with me is like, I totally see her underneath the tree at the church with her thing. And we would help her to set up.
Every Sunday.
We would get an ice cream cone if we help her set up. It wasn't much setting up.
Sunday.
Yeah.
That was the Sunday treat. Let me ask you, you graduated from Perry.
Yes, Perry High School.
And where you guys lived back in the day, we call that the country.
Isn't that something?
Yes, but now everybody's moving out to the country. But it's help me understand that.
8 blocks. We would have been what it was called 18th Street, but they changed it on Hawthorne Road when I think I was like in about the 5th grade. But it was 8 blocks from the city. And we would go to Mr. Harry's store on 10th and Reese.
That's right.
Okay. And every now, so, and of course, everybody knows Clyde Evans and all those. So, yeah, I just never, and when I came out here, or when I left there and went to college, and I realized country, what are you talking about? But I realized what they're talking about, the county schools versus the city schools. And so we were kind of like, I don't know if people look differently at us, but I knew that I could read. I'm going to get some status from this better than most of the kids who went to the city school. I'm going to say it like that.
Well, I'm going to say this. The Chambers, they were very well educated.
Yeah,
coming out of 18th Street.
Yeah, Hawthorne Road, not just 18th.
Oh yeah, you. Well, let me say this. You really didn't hear too much negative out of nobody back in those days. It was just like a family. Do you agree?
Yes, and everybody was lifting everybody up.
Yes.
One of the things that you mentioned about earlier is like the Sunday afternoons after we went to church, the afternoon service, BTU. Depending on if there was an afternoon program, we would have so many people down at the house. And as I've gone back over years, people have always told me, yeah, we used to come down there and play softball or play basketball, or we would be out there, y'all go out, my mother would come out there and get stuff out of y'all garden, or we'd go out there and pick apples. And I think that particular type of community is still present, but we're having to work harder because the fact that time has become our greatest asset because people are working to try to come up or whatever. And it's not that we don't love the next person, but our time has made our priorities different. I'll say it like that.
I like that. And in order to get to your house or to get up into which we call the village, we call it the Victor Village. Everybody.
What do you call it? Victor Village?
Victor Village. Just about everybody in Lima came out of the village.
Well, that was a place that, as I listened to some of the older elders, that was a place where they would stop because there was a community, number one, and the rents were very, very reasonable, or cheap, as I would say today. But when I think about it, it's like it was a community that people had to kind of get together and share stuff because everybody was in the same place. And everybody had come from, a lot of people were transplants. In other words, some other communities or other states, and that's where they stopped if they didn't have a relative who they stayed with. I want to say my parents lived there for a short period of time. I'm almost certain of that. I don't remember which place, but I do want to say that they did live there for a minute, and then they moved out in the country. Okay. But I wasn't born then, of course. But that was when. Yeah, that was when they kind of first came.
Well, I still remember the address that my grandmother had.
Oh, really?
1512 Reese Avenue.
Reese Avenue. I know that's between like.
She lived right across. I'm gonna tell you, she lived right across the street where Mr. Otis, you remember when his store got bombed?
Wow, on Reese there. Yeah, that goes way back. Yeah, there's not.
We call it Bradfield then. It was Bradfield Drive.
Right there before you go into the Greenville Heights area over there.
Absolutely. Well, right before, it was right where, I want to say that was maybe 6th Street.
Because Miss West lived like just a couple doors up.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, she lived right where Miss Sudie Pearl.
Yeah.
Miss West coming back, going to the village.
Okay.
It was. You remember back in the day? It was a lady named Miss Tibbs.
Yes.
Remember Miss Tibbs?
Yes, Reverend Tibbs. Yeah.
Yeah. I think when I was little, I think she made the best homemade biscuits. We had Miss Hill. You remember the lady who sold the sodas?
Yes.
Had the coldest. You remember the soda called Team?
Yes. Oh yeah, the green bottle.
Yeah, the green bottle.
Yeah.
She had the best. The coldest sodas.
She had the coldest one. Yeah.
I don't know what she did to them sodas.
Yeah.
But back then,
you remember Mr. Lester then?
Yes.
Well, we called him Jesus, and it wasn't until I got grown that I realized he really wasn't Jesus.
But he wasn't Jesus, right? But what I liked about Jesus would we call him Jesus.
Yeah.
And he would pour the knowledge in us.
Yes,
as we were
to this
kids.
day. Yeah.
And you remember he had the restaurant Magic Mountain.
Yes. With the big tenderloins.
Big tenderloins and hamburger. He made the best hamburgers.
Juiciest hamburgers in town.
Yes, but when you went there, he poured knowledge in you.
He's always questioning. Yeah.
He gonna question. He gonna ask about your school. He gonna talk about the books. And sometime now I kind of think about that and was like, wow.
Yeah. I still speak to a lot of them today. I will come from where Facebook friends, of course. But I feel when I go back to Lima and I run into one of them, it's always a great conversation because, like you said, he would impale. He would make you know it, and he would make us recite, the beginning of the Bible about the 7 days and all that. What God said. And he would, he would show us marks on his hand. Now, that he I was like, and it wasn't, and I always realized, I always loved him. And you kind of know that he's not Jesus, but you kind of know like maybe he could be. So I'm going to be nice, right?
It was a long time. I always thought it was Jesus.
Yeah. Most of us, and to this day, one of the things that I've even considered writing was one of the things that had him in it, because his sons are I love your house and all of those, but his sons are, and his daughter too. But I always thought him to be just one of those guys that when you said his name, memories start to stack up because he gave us so much knowledge, and he always, all is well.
All is well. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes we hear people say, when I leave Lima, I don't ever want to go back. Let me tell you, Do you
I
agree with
understand it.
me?
I understand what they're saying.
Yes, you understand, but when you get there, when you go back, you don't want to leave.
I just came back after 40 to 35 days later. Okay. There was no way I was going to plan on spending 35 days. I just.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think we can do to mentor our young folks, to put them on the right path?
If in speaking in Lima or just in general, I would say there are people who are mentoring. They really are. And I think what you're doing like now is being able to shed a light on their mentoring, just like you are. There's young ladies who I'm sure are watching you going, I want to do that. It wasn't that many years ago that this platform wasn't even around.
Right.
And so now I came up during the times of whereas you had to kind of be in the flow of things because someone controlled it. But now you have the ability to mentor direct. Like I have a whole program that I'm actually one of the reasons why I'm setting up the studio here is because we're getting ready to start another podcast to just share with them media penetration. In other words, how they can start their own outlet for their platform and the various impacts that they could have doing what they do. And so how we go about mentoring more, I should say, just let people know that you are a mentor. And I know that sharing information like we're doing now, like after this show, I know I get calls and I try to embark upon them, the things that if they're ready to do what I'm ready to do, I'm willing to help. And if they're not, I'll give them a list of things that they can do so that once they have those things accomplished, they can then choose to come and I'll work with them. Because a lot of what it is that it's the time that we have that we want to make sure that it goes to the people who really value it. And that's everybody actually, because we don't know what you may hit upon someone or in this conversation that I may hit upon someone and they'll get inspired to go and like, well, I can do that too. That's one of the reasons why I try to do so many of these because I'm just little old Cullen Chambers from Lima, Ohio.
That's what I'm saying. And I agree with you, Cullen, because if you had asked me, I would have never dreamed that I would be here. You remember, well, you don't not from Lima. Her name was Velma Green, teacher, Miss Casey. She married Mark Casey, Bobby Casey.
Okay. Yeah, Bobby Casey. Yeah, okay.
Yes, and she was following me on Facebook, and she told me, she said, Damita, you know, when I was your teacher, what you doing now, you did when you were young. You never were the one that followed. If you couldn't lead the pack, you didn't want to have anything to do with it. You always, and so I never would have dreamed I would be here. And I got off into the politic game. And looking at Lima was very political back then.
And it kind of still is. Did I say that slow enough? It kind of still is.
But I think
we're making changes. They're making changes. I mean, we gotta, give credit to Sharita Smith. I mean,
yes,
Perry graduate.
Yes, for being the first Black mayor. But we had back then we had like the James Williamsons. Remember the Black Panthers came off of 4th Street.
Yes, the Latsons, and
yes,
Sonny Sherrills and all those guys who were really
great people.
The Walkers, the Amersons. I mean, there were the Williamses. Like you said, I mean, even to this day, I mean, I still converse with James Williamson, and we'll probably do something in the very near future because he has been always a historian of especially the South Side. And I remember when him and my sister Mary were going to Bowling Green, and one of the things that I remember about them there is that they were going to get that knowledge.
Oh yes,
and that was like big for me,
Yes, and I let me tell you what I did, Cullen, and I have I shared some pictures on social media, and James Williamson he got to capture them, and they're floating, and that's when Pastor Manley had all those pictures, and he would take pictures of his church, and so I shared them, and I I have books and books. I used to get the newspaper when I lived in Los Angeles, and I would cut the articles out. And I got big binders, nothing but news articles. One news
Of Lima
article
stuff?
of Lima stuff.
Oh,
Remember?
wow. We're going to share that with me.
Yes, the one news article that kind of stick out was the killing of Sarah Thurkill. You remember that?
You don't know. Yes, I do. That has been, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I just found out in the last year who actually done it. But all that time, I love Miss Sherry Thurkill because she went to Philippian and she also sang in the choir. It was her and Miss Leela Latson, and Miss Shirley Thurkill could blow.
She can blow.
And when I heard about her, I was, you think love people when you get moved by certain people. She was one of the people. And in my brain, of course, I was in acting at the time. And that was always a story that I wanted to do about her death, because I didn't know until, like I said, probably the last 2 years of actually how they had found the person who killed her or whatever. But I remember that, not whatever, they had found a person who killed her. Let me stick this. And I just was so hurt by the fact that why would they do something to somebody like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And even as I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about that, I remember it just like it was yesterday.
It was big.
I'm thinking, how can someone kill a person? Because she was a big woman. She was a tall woman. And it had to be somebody that she knew, because
she wouldn't let nobody else get up on her.
You couldn't have got up on that. You couldn't have got up on her that way. And it was just so many more cases there. And like I said, I got all these news articles, and it was just amazing that the history of Lima.
Now, do you remember? May I ask you, do you remember the incident where the police got shot down
on Union Street?
Was it Union or down on Central, I think?
That's when the Black Panthers, when they killed Miss Rex.
Okay, but I'm talking about the time where there was a guy named Roger Lewis that they claimed he shot a police and he went to jail. And for years, I wondered what had happened to him. So one day I happened to be walking in LA and I saw this person. I knew that person. And I don't normally approach people like that. You kind of, but I go, I know you. You know how you say, I know you. And as soon as I heard his voice, I knew who it was. But his story was also one of those stories that I've always wanted to write. And because there's a lot of rich stories that came out of Lima. And not that I want to do those tragic ones, because I also want to shed light on some of the great ones as well. Being that a friend of my good buddy, Sparky White, which of course everybody knows, William just passed. But I was just talking to Sparky, and that was one of the stories that I always wanted to do as well, because I know that even with Sparky, he was one of the persons that led to William actually going to Ohio State and then on to the NFL. And those are the stories behind the stories that people don't know. And we always, in my head, I know a lot of those stories of people that we see, like William Howard. I know a lot of the stories about how he was able to go and make us all proud, Lima proud, as we say. And of course, like Radar Williams. Yeah.
It's so many more. God, he lived over there on Catawba Street. Marcus Jackson.
Oh yeah, Marcus.
Cleveland yes. Browns. So many good people came out of Lima. And sometimes I think the history need to be told.
Well, it's like one of the things that James and Jean Haywood, Haywood Cooley, I think her last name is now. I just spoke to her just the other day, and we were talking because before COVID, we were putting together a series of books about Lima. She's pretty much finished with one of hers now, but we were thinking that a lot of those stories, because we are kind of responsible for telling those stories now that we have the ability. And we just spoke, and we'll probably talk later today or tomorrow about how we take it to the next level. Because I've been a publisher for over almost 50 years now. So I'm like, the good stuff is good, but it's now I have the ability to micro publish. I don't want to say micro publish because those stories are good stories, regardless of whether in the general public or whether or not for a particular audience. But I wanted to focus on those stories because I have a sense of obligation because not that I want my story told, but it's like, if we don't tell those stories, they are going to be lost and forever. And there are a lot of great stories of people who have come out of Lima and Allen County, out of the country, excuse me.
Yeah.
And and so I wanted to tell some of those, and even with my friends, like even my sister's, I think is one of the greatest playwrights that I've ever seen, because she just takes stuff out of there. But I wanted to start putting those people to work, maybe having interviews with some of the people who are going to be writing some of the stories. We're just actually putting together the structure now for the business part of it, so that my thing is about telling the story, making sure people get their just rewards and their profits from their work. Because I think the stories are very valuable, and I think people would love to share that information and stories. So we're putting that together.
And do you agree with me? Some might not agree, but I think we had the best gospel singers come out of Lima. You had Lila Latson. Charles can make a piano jump. You had Reverend Amerson. We got and I ain't gonna take from the preachers. We have
no,
some of the best.
come, yeah. Like my nephew, well, I call him Lamont, Reverend Montfort.
That's right.
But I've even said a long time ago, it's like, and even here recently, I was tuning into a program on one of the Sunday morning programs on they do a YouTube live feed, and I was going, I feel bad because there's so much talent there, and I want to do something with it, but I'm working to build so that we can, not just with him, but other people. And I think that for me, it's like, I gotta get to moving, and I gotta get to moving. So the next year for me, I'm focusing on that kind of thing. Not that I'm feeling any kind of doom or gloom, but it's like, if not now, when, Cullen? Yeah,
absolutely.
My career is going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to grow. But if I didn't do another movie, I would be okay if I were able to just be able to produce and direct some of those stories, really.
But let me ask you, what your commercials? Out of all the commercials you got, which one is the best commercial that
Well, the one that I really love was a Pokemon commercial. That goes back a few, but the one that I mean, commercial, I would say the one that I love now is the Farsiga. And that's the one where I'm playing with my granddaughter in the scene, and we're out there shooting basketball. And then I have a dance with my wife, her grandmother. And then at the end, where I'm sitting on the couch with her, and you could see that there's so much love. That's probably one of my favorite. Fun commercials of Airbnb, Allstate, and I think I have one running right now that I like. It's a Morgan & Morgan attorney at law for like the largest injury law firm in the country, and I'm dressed up as a I guess you call it adolescent, and I got my skateboard and my hat's all flipped back, and I got on my skater pants, and so I'm trying to get us free food, because they say if you're under a certain age, you get to eat free. And so that was one of my, it's a series of commercials they have where people get free because the advice is supposedly free. And so they have us doing all these free things. So that's probably one of my favorite right now, as far as funny commercials. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But the first commercial, a friend of mine sent me that commercial, and she said, I like this commercial.
Farsiga?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
It was a touchy. Yeah.
Yeah. She said she liked that commercial. Let me ask you, you lived out there in Los Angeles, so you know where Baldwin Hills is at.
Yes.
Over there, Crenshaw. And
I'm going to be going there. I'm going to be going there in a little while. Yeah.
Okay, back in the day, that was the place. And I hadn't been there in 17 years.
It's coming back.
That was the place.
It's coming back. It went through a gentrification, I'll say, but it's always had its heart. The heartbeat, like Leimert Park right there.
I was just gonna say Leimert Park.
Yeah, Leimert Park right there. It's Leimert Park has always been a heart. I was just through there a couple of days ago, and like I said, I'll be going down to near the Baldwin Hills Shopping Center today because my foundation, my nonprofit is we based out of there because we're theatrically inclined. So they have the Marley Gibbs Theater that's still there. They're actually building a brand new theater.
Okay, great, great.
They're going to build there's the metro station is going up right there at Leimert Park. That's like a stop before you get to Nipsey Hussle's metro line.
Okay.
There. And so Baldwin Hills has changed, and that you wouldn't know it. I mean, they've got the Kaiser Medical Center down there.
Oh,
right
really?
out. Yeah, it's beautiful, and I see it as there. I mean, there's been a lot of. I just love Baldwin Hills. I mean, it's got the best view in town now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, people think that you live in Beverly Hills or in the Hollywood Hills.
That's what I was going to say.
Baldwin Hills has the best views of downtown, the Hollywood sign. For all the hills up there.
I was just going to say that's the small Beverly Hills. Because when
I just call it Baldwin Hills. Beverly Hills got nothing.
Because when I was there, when I moved there in '82, and I remember, and I used to catch the 210. The 210
right.
Take you all the way to Beverly Hills.
That's right. Well, yeah, to take you to.
It take you to Sunset Drive.
Right, and then you jump on the 2 or the 4. Yeah.
Yes. So I got a chance, and then I also worked over there in Baldwin Hills. I went to some training over there, and it's funny because back then I didn't realize, but when I went in '82, I worked for Vernon Jones. Never knew who he was. I answered the phones in his office. Never knew who this guy was. I just knew he was a politician. And now I'm saying, Steve Vernon Jones off of Crenshaw.
Isn't that something? That something?
Let me ask you, where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
10 years from now, I see myself, of course, still acting, producing and directing. I was watching something today on Tyler Perry, and I had gotten to the point, it's like, I've always wanted the studio or a production company, but now I see Tyler Perry has made that, like, you really got to step up a little bit. And I'm so proud because I was down in Atlanta earlier this year, and I happened to got an opportunity to go by on the freeway, and you see his name up on the freeway, Tyler Perry Studios. Now it's going, and so I did a little more. I've done some research before I did, and I realized he had taken over that whole military base and built it up, and now he's offering. You know what I'm saying? He's offering all those people opportunities that Black people, I should say, talented, who may not have ever gotten an opportunity. I'm trying to think of the show I was watching this morning earlier, but a lot of those stars, like Keke Palmer was in it, Boris Kojo, I can't think of some of the other people that were in, from LA Law, I can't think of his name, oh my gosh. Blair Underwood, I mean, there was just a host of people. I'm going, the opportunities that I have and that I could do, it doesn't matter as much where you do them. Like, I've been looking at some space even in Lima to like an old warehouse where we could actually build our sets, shoot something there, because there's great opportunity there. I just don't like the cold as much, so I'm going to have to make sure I shoot it in the spring and in the summer. So, my nephew Brian, who's also Brian Chambers, he's also a great writer. They call him B-Love. He had asked me to see if I was going to come because he had something he was considering working. I go, well, I'll see what I'm doing, but I told him I was going to be starting back the 1st of October, but I would definitely forego starting back until later in the month of October and doing something with. So I'm still haven't made up my mind 100% whether or not I'm going to not go or not, but I would really like to. But the season has kind of started here in LA. I mean, I've got 3 scripts here, and I've got another doing some work for some voiceover work for another person, actually from Lima. And then I actually doing a trailer for another television series that I got.
Awesome. Yeah, you know, and think about Lima. It's so it's just a big family. Your nephew is my nephew's uncle.
Really?
Yes.
Small world. See,
small
that was the other
world,
thing.
small world, and some of my folks is some of your folks, and
Right.
They come out of Columbus, Georgia, and Alabama, in that
Pittsview,
area.
Alabama, right there.
Pittsview.
You know.
Well. I just met my folks out of Pittsview, Alabama. So, and I try to go down there. I hadn't been down there in a while, but I'm making a trip in a couple weeks. I love going down there. Oh yes, I go down Pittsview and sit down there with my 95-year-old 2 aunties, and they still living.
That was another great memory for me of once we went down there and I got to meet my dad's uncles. So you can imagine what that was like. I mean, these guys were, and I remember they're always so tall. And for me, it was like going back down. And to me, now it's a lot closer than I always imagined it that it was. Because for me, it was like, oh, I don't want to, it's going to take us all this time. Oh, no. And then I realized that Cullen, you could drive down there in less than like 10 hours, 12 hours.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's like, so they made us, and I think about that too, is like, not that they didn't make us not want to go there to visit or even to return there, is that they had seen some of the things that they had seen in their lives and they wanted better for us. And yes, to this day, I'm actually looking for some property there in that area because of some things that happened before in my family.
Yeah, well, you go down there. I had an opportunity, and I say God blessed me to go down there and meet my father family that's down there, and I love that country.
It's just so real.
It's so and it's just so calm.
Yeah.
And I had opportunity to go through Seal, Alabama.
Oh yeah, Seal. That's like 11 miles.
Some people
and the stories that came out of Seal, right?
Yeah, and just about everybody that's from Lima either migrated from there or Birmingham.
Right. Oh, I didn't know the Birmingham connection, but I knew that
some Birmingham and Pittsview, Columbus, and Phoenix City.
Rome, Georgia.
Rome, Georgia.
I know a lot of people.
Absolutely. So
we're like second generations. We're like the first generation Ohioans for a lot of us, you know.
Yes.
We're getting older now, yeah.
Yes. That's what it is. And so I look back and I wish somebody sent me some, because I got so many old cassettes.
Video cassettes?
Video cassettes.
Oh,
I got the little cassettes, the little tape player, and I have a lot of sermons with Latson and revival.
Wow!
I got boxes of them.
Wow! We need to do a whole channel on Fire TV or something.
Yeah, we got. Yeah, I got Miss Leela Latson, and I think I even got the last. I think I even got the last.
We're definitely going to talk off. Yeah.
You remember the singing session there, the fourth Sunday, and I got the last singing session where your sister Jamesy and the Symbols of Joy sung in it. We were at H Street. The history, the rich history there, and my thing is, I don't ever want the kids or the people to miss out on that history.
And I first of all, thank you for realizing the value of all that footage. And I'm glad that someone has it. And because cameras were few and far between, and video was even further than that. Yeah. And so for the fact that you have that, that's just like, that's gold.
I carry the cassette player to church every Sunday, and I just have so many things, the history there. pictures, like I say, just a lot of stuff, because Lima is a great place. And
Yes.
I tell people often, I can pack up today and I can go back to Lima
Oh yeah.
and don't miss a beat.
I was gonna say, and fit like you did,
Fit like
like
that.
you just went to sleep and woke up.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, as long as they got a Cupid, if I can get a Cupid burger there and a Fat Jack pizza, and some chicken from Lee's, I'm okay.
Yeah, I'll go with you on the Fat Jack's pizza. I'll go with you on that. Cupid, I like the malts. I go to Cupid's when I'm there, but my diet doesn't allow me. They won't let me eat the hamburger. I'll put it like this. I allow myself a hamburger like every 6 months. And this last time I was in Lima, I had made it that the Lima Cupid was going to get my hamburger, but I ended up cheating out and getting chicken sandwich. So, but
I get you. Well, my diet don't let me, and my diabetes don't. But I just say, well, I don't do it all the time. So when I go there, I just pig out. I just Because
and now here's what I'll say. I may have just gotten a salty burger the time before that. I'll say that. So I'm going to give them a shot, and I hope that they're watching. And then next time I'm there, I'm going to come there, and I want you to make sure that burger. But Cupid's is one of those things that, especially for us from Lima, when we saw Wendy's, we knew that they had copied it from Lima.
Oh, absolutely.
And the fact that to this day, most people that I know cannot go back to Lima without doing their Cupid pilgrimage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It used to be the Tenderloins, but Louis closed down. So
wait a minute, about yes.
Yeah. So you remember we used to go to I've heard you remember we used to go to the bar. It was a bar restaurant on 4th Street in
4th and Main.
Main.
Yes, you went around to the back.
You go to the back. The black folks couldn't go through the front. We had to go to the back window.
Well, I tell you what, we used to go in there and shine shoes when I was younger.
Okay.
Yeah, we used to go in there and shine shoes. I want to say that we could order our sandwiches when we were in there shiny shoes, but we'd have to go around the back to get it.
Back to get it. Yeah.
Because the kitchen was a separate part. I'm trying to figure I remember who used to work there. I can't think of
it was she had a son named Tony Evans, Miss Evans.
Miss Richardson, right? No, not Evans. I know what you're talking about now.
She did it there. And you remember we used to go to Charlie's. We used to have to go to the window at
fish
Charlie's.
Sandwich. The fish sandwiches at Charlie's was off the bomb.
Yes.
My father, quick story, when at Ford, my father worked at Ford, one of his other jobs versus working for himself, and they got paid on Thursday nights. At Thursdays. And that was the one night we could stay up because Daddy was going to stop by Charlie's and cash his check. And because I don't know if they didn't allow them to have bank accounts or that they needed to give us money the next day. I don't really remember the reason why they stopped there. Mr. Charlie cashed a lot of people's check, but he would get the fish sandwiches and the fries, and he would get ice cream from Clyde Evans, the Big O Q. And that Thursday nights was one of the most, got me all choked up. That was the night that we were like, we could just be in there dancing and eating, right?
Absolutely.
My brother's gonna kill me, but we'd be able to come out in our pajamas, and sit around there, and then we'd have to go to bed. Of course, Friday was kind of a sluggish day, but my mother knew the secret of that. If you gave us oatmeal the next day, you'd be up and going. I don't know what.
Right?
But to this day, when I used to have to take a test when I was in college, I would eat oatmeal the day before a test or whenever there's going to be something that's really strange. Yeah, I don't know if it really works, but it always worked for me.
Oh, awesome! I'm gonna have to keep that. Yeah, but Cullen, let me ask you, being you said mentors, we have like it's a lot of talent. I interviewed Dr. Reggie Cunningham. I call him Reggie.
Yes.
I interviewed him a couple weeks ago. So much talent, great talent.
Very smart young man. But Reggie's one of those guys you knew that was going to do something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And there are there's a lot of people who did do something, but Reggie's one of those people that you knew was going to do something. Mm-hmm. And when I heard he was a psychologist and I saw him with the beard, I go, wow, he's definitely Dr. Sigmund Freud.
Yeah,
I don't know if he still has to be.
My sister's right now. She's the director over the VA. Tamara Wilson, but it was Tamara Esther. She's Esther.
Over the VA.
Yes, she's the downtown. The first Black woman that ever held office there.
In Atlanta?
No, in Lima.
Oh, really?
Yes, and you probably knew the uncles, Billy Esther and Henry Esther now.
Oh, yeah.
And Tony Esther was the great football player of Lima Senior.
Right. I played ball with them over the years. See, I went to Perry, so a lot of my associations came from the guys who and the girls who either went to our church or the brothers who played sports, because we would read each other's stuff in the paper, but then we'd see each other out playing ball at one of the parks. And but that was I knew of a lot of people, but I knew more of the guys. And that's one of the things why, even like for me right now, having sports is always a great way to bring people together who wouldn't normally have. And some of those guys to this day, I mean, I still talk to a lot of people to this day.
Okay.
To this day, yeah.
Look, I'm on the radio station that we in WCEG. They have a young man that I just met a couple weeks ago, but been watching the show Wardell, and they do a lot of movies. So you got to hook up with them.
Oh yes. I'm really looking forward to all of that now. You know, someone asked me a while back, said that when did you thought that you had made it? And for me, it was when I made one of my first films, Student Bodies. That was in Houston, Texas. I'm down there shooting, and I'm like, then we fly from there to New York to do voiceover. And then I flew from there back to Hollywood to actually go to the screening and the movie itself. And then when we had the premiere back in Houston, it was like, I had to pinch myself. No one, you couldn't tell me. This is what I got to do. I can't do anything else. I mean, I still write and I, still do my other business, but this particular platform that allows me to be seen by people who will maybe not feel that they had an opportunity, if nothing more, for me, it's like, I may just be a stepping stone to where you are going to go, but there are a lot of people who I stand on their shoulders to get to where I am right now. Amen. And for me, it's been like, I understand that obligation. I don't like to use that word, but in this case, it's an obligation to be the best that I can be, and let them know that even my best, it may only be 60% some days, but that's good enough versus having to I got to be at 100, because that was a big misconception. You got to be at 100, because when I learned, and even doing film and television, that when one of the movies, My Stepmother Was an Alien, where we had to go through 43 takes to get the one little piece right. Richard Benjamin was the director, which I think I'm going to say he's probably not one of, I don't know why he's still directing, but anyway, 43 takes. I realized that everybody wasn't perfect, because I see them on television, they're saying the words perfect, and then they're saying the right things. And it wasn't until, later on, even though I've been around plays where it was all written, but on television, it was like, we thought there was the video camera and they were rolling. And I would think that all those people are perfect. But when I found out that they weren't, it was such a relief. And there was such a thing for me that I knew that I could do this, because I can make a mistake and we'll fix it. There's a saying that goes on in television and film now, we'll fix it in post, in other words, if something goes wrong. Well, when I learned that they actually edit it, that was like, whoo, the pressure was off, because just to be perfect like that is strenuous, I should say.
And the guy's name is Wardell Richardson, and he's on WCEG Wood, Hollywood of the South. Great guy.
Okay. I'm gonna have to definitely hook up with him.
I'm gonna give him your information so y'all can talk.
Please do. Yes.
I remember going to University Studios out there, and we went to the different sets. And I remember one of the sets that we went on was the set TV Waiting Till Your Father Get Home.
Oh, wow. That's a long time ago. Yeah, that's an old, yeah. Isn't that nice over there area? Isn't that nice? Looks like a regular little neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. In closing, what you want to tell folks, Cullen, about just give me something you want to leave with folks.
Well, if I had to say anything, I would say, don't give up on your dreams. A lot of I've been at this game for almost 50 years, or and a lot of people are just now knowing who I am. And even though like this next year is my year of becoming a household name with all the work, for me, it was like, I enjoy the process, and that's kind of what you have to do. I get up every day around 4:35 in the morning without an alarm clock because I'm excited to get going, to get to the gym, to get back home, to get my day started. And all I would love to say is that you'd be surprised what you're capable of when you really set your mind to it, and to never give up on your dream. I know some people say, well, I'm too old to play professional basketball. Yeah, well, is it the professional basketball that you wanted, or did you just want the ability to engage with people in a very, rah type of situation? There's many of opportunities for that. We are now in a time where a person can actually pick up a phone, not a camera, a phone, and can reach millions of people, and with that you didn't know that you would reach yesterday. So staying positive, and I always say staying possible more so than staying positive, is staying a possibility is the greatest thing you can do, and that I will not die with any regrets.
Amen. Thank you. And in closing, as you was talking, you know who you kind of look like, and you probably played a part.
I don't know who that could be that you'll
Danny
be talking
Glover.
about. Oh, I thought you were going to go with the Morgan Freeman.
Oh, yeah, Morgan Freeman. But
I just did a commercial with him. Yeah.
Okay, but thank you, Cullen, for reaching out.
Thank you so much for having me.
It has been a long time, but when I sent you a text and said you probably would know my grandmother, Mary Bennett, you and my uncles, you immediately came back, and my Uncle Fred, and you immediately come back and said yes. I want to thank you so much. We gonna get back and do some more stuff. Fact,
I hope we do.
I'm going to take some. Give me to after these elections, because I even got some pictures that I was supposed to promise somebody in Lima that I would send them. And when you got boxes and boxes of pictures, and every time I go in there to get them pictures out, I ain't doing it. But I got to get that picture to the person in Lima. But if you give me to after the election, because we in a serious election down here.
Congratulations for you being a voice for us too.
Oh, absolutely.
That's really very important, and that's some work. And I want to thank you for the work, especially down there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's some work, but God has.
And I'm going to come see you, and dinner's going to be on me when I come.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but you got, when you come see me, you got to sit down and eat with me, and if you don't eat pig feet and pork, I do the turkey for you.
Well, here's what I'll say. A lot of people think that I'm a vegetarian because and I'm not. I have high blood sugar. I'm very good as far as I'm concerned. It's just that I don't do a lot of cooking because I don't like certain smells. Like I don't cook fish in my house because I just don't. But as far as I'll eat anything, especially when it's free. No, just
okay. But when they told me I'm a good cook, so I don't.
Well,
know.
I'm gonna see. I'm gonna let the people know.
That's what they say. I don't know, but don't nobody leave don't nobody turn plates down when they come to my house. That's all I got to say. So it's a blessing. But I was taught by the best.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on. And next time I say Eastern time. I didn't mean to say wake up.
Yeah, I was gonna go get my, I threw on my hat, got my.
But that's a good thing of being you stay ready. But
stay ready.
We want to thank you for tuning in with WCEG Network. Take a stand, and it's a pleasure. You keep on doing what you're doing. And if you're ever out down here in Atlanta, we're gonna show you the hospitality. Down here.
I'll see you sooner than later.
Oh, you just let me know. You got my cell number.
Yeah.
Again, I want to thank you so much, and hopefully when I get to Ohio, Lima, I'll see you. Not gonna tell them when I'm coming up there because I'm gonna be sneaking up there. It's gonna be a surprise. But again, I want to thank you so much for being the guest today. And you have a good day. Thank you
very much.
Chambers. All right. Bye-bye.